I have a problem. A big problem. I'm too goddamn doughy. I'm at that stage where I'm just not as lean as I want to be, so in January I started a little cutting phase in hopes of losing about 15 pounds. Once I reach my goal, I'll make another video showing you the strategies I took to get there, but today I want to share with you 3 recipes I'm using to help me get shredded. We've got spring rolls, chicken calaguin, and spicy ranch carrot chips. We're going to start with the spring rolls. Spring rolls are one of my favorite dieting foods. They're low in calories, refreshing, and when you pair them with a peanut sauce to dip it in, they're full of flavor. I'm going to show you how you can meal prep these ingredients to have them ready in your fridge so that whenever you want a spring roll, you can roll it up and have it ready to go. First things first, we're going to prepare our rice sticks, or the Asian style vermicelli. To do this, I just place them in a bowl of hot water and set them aside while I prepare my other ingredients. We're going to use 3 ounces or 75 grams of the dry rice sticks. I made the whole package. I didn't end up using it all. Next, you're going to pickle some carrots. Take 2 medium carrots, or about 200 grams worth, and shave them into thin slices using a vegetable peeler. I try to always keep a container of these and pickled red onions in my fridge. They'll last a good while and they're nice additions to food when you want to spice it up a bit. For the brine, mix together 1 part white vinegar, 1 part water, 1 tablespoon or 12 grams of sugar, and 1 teaspoon or 6 grams of salt. Stir or shake that up, and then you can pour it into the dish with your carrots. If you need to add more water or vinegar, you can do so. Just try to do it in about an even amount. It's best to do this the night before so that the carrots have time to pickle, but if you don't have that time, they'll be fine after about 30 minutes. Throw on the lid, put it in the fridge, they'll be good for weeks. Take 1 large cucumber or 200 grams worth, and using a vegetable peeler, go down the length of the cucumber to create thin ribbons. Once I get deep enough to reach the seeds, I turn the cucumber to the other side and continue moving on. You could just cut this into a julienne if you wish, but I prefer the ribbons. Place them into a dish, put on a lid, and move them into your fridge. For the lettuce portion of our spring rolls, I use 1 head or 250 grams of romaine lettuce. I stack all the leaves together, bunch them up a bit, and then cut them into thin slices. Lettuce is obviously very low calorie, so if you want your spring rolls to have lots of volume, I would recommend doubling the amount of lettuce. Next, I take about a half of a bunch or 20 grams of cilantro and just cut the leaves off. This is going to go inside of our spring roll as well. Place the lettuce and the cilantro into a large dish, cap it, and move it into the fridge. Now for the protein. You can use whatever you'd like, but I'm using 1 pound or 454 grams of thinly sliced boneless skinless chicken breast that I'm adding 1 tablespoon or 14 grams of mayo to help with browning. You could absolutely boil this chicken breast and not have to use any oil or mayo when you were making it to save on about 100 extra calories, but I find the mayo adds some nice flavor. I also put some sriracha on it as well. I use 1 teaspoon or 5 grams of sriracha, and then I just use my hands to rub that mixture into the chicken. I'm going to use the air fryer to cook this just for speed purposes. The oven would work fine. If you wanted to pan fry it, that would be great because you have the mayo on it already. I place it into the air fryer basket and I air fry at 400 degrees or 240 degrees Celsius for 8 to 12 minutes, flipping it over halfway through. Return the basket to the air fryer and finish the cooking process until the chicken is done. After your rice sticks have been soaking in that hot water for about 20 or 30 minutes, they should have softened. You can drain away the water and place them into your storage container. I like to run a knife through these just to cut them into smaller pieces to make it easier to make my wraps when it comes time. I find that to store these rice sticks and prevent them from drying out, it's best to keep them with some water, so you can place some fresh water in the container, throw on the lid, and move them to the fridge. For the peanut sauce, mix together 3 tablespoons or 50 grams of melted peanut butter, 4 teaspoons or 20 grams of lime juice, 1.5 tablespoons or 30 grams of honey, 2 teaspoons or 10 grams of sriracha, and 4 teaspoons or 20 grams of soy sauce. Mix that together and add water to get to the right consistency. Around this time, your chicken will be finished. Pull it out of the air fryer, allow it to rest for a few minutes, and then cut it into thin slices. After the chicken has all been cut, you can move it over into its own container, put the lid on it, and move it into the fridge with everything else. Now whenever you're ready to make some spring rolls, pull all those containers out of the fridge and set up your prepping station. I like to do this on my large wooden cutting board to ensure that I have plenty of space. From this recipe, I made 15 spring rolls, and usually when I make them, I do 3 or 4 at a time. So get out as many pieces of rice paper as you wish to make, and then wet your surface that you are going to construct them on. This is going to help prevent any stickage. You should definitely do this if you're using wood. If you're using glass or some kind of metal, then you probably won't have as big of an issue with stickage. Dunk the rice paper into the water on all sides to make sure that it's completely wet, and then place it down on your working surface. After a couple of minutes, the water will have penetrated into the rice paper and these will become soft and pliable. Start the construction of your spring rolls by laying down a base layer of that romaine lettuce. I used roughly 15 grams per roll. It's nice to dress this lettuce with a bit of rice vinegar and maybe some salt. I forgot to do that, so I had to do it at a later step. You can see me doing that right here. Place a couple of cilantro leaves on top as well, then you can layer on the pickled carrots. I used roughly 10 grams worth. Try to eyeball a good amount of the rice sticks to add on, about 25 grams is what you should shoot for. Place a few strands of those cucumbers, about 10 grams, and then some chicken, about 25 grams of this as well. Give each spring roll a light sprinkling of salt, and if you'd like, you can add sriracha to the top as well. Now it's time to roll these. I am not good at rolling these. I tried the Chipotle method this time where you fold in the sides first and then take the back end over the top to finish the roll. I think I like the other way better where you start the roll first, then fold in the sides. You gotta find whatever method works best for you. If you find that your rice paper is sticking to your surface, be very careful when you do these rolls because you do not want to rip the rice paper. You can always add a bit of water to the surface around where it is sticking, and it should help to release that rice paper from the surface. Overfilling these wraps is one of the worst mistakes you can make because it will make these impossible to roll. But once you do get them all rolled, stir up your peanut sauce and divide out a portion to use. You'll likely find that your peanut sauce thickens up in the fridge over the course of the week. If this happens, you can just add more water to it as you need to and stir it to get to the right consistency. I prefer the peanut sauce to be a bit on the thinner side because it makes it easier for dipping. If it's too thick, you tend to lose fillings when you dip it in because it's too sticky. I got 15 spring rolls plus the dipping sauce out of this recipe, and if you do the same, each spring roll will have about 107 calories each. Now, if you're going to make these and you're not dieting and don't care about the calories, double the peanut sauce. That's the best part. These were so nice to have in my fridge over the last week. Having foods that you look forward to when you're dieting can make all the difference for adherence. And these spring rolls help to keep things interesting for only a small amount of calories, which makes them a great diet food in my book. Next, we're going to take a look at some spicy ranch carrot chips made in the air fryer. These are wonderful to snack on because they're full of fiber and will help to keep you full. To make them, take 3 to 4 small carrots or 225 grams worth and cut them into thin chips. I like to do this with a crinkle cutter and on a bias to increase the amount of surface area that each chip has. This will help with crisping in the air fryer. You can obviously just cut these with a regular knife, but it's hard as it is even with the crinkle cutter and the air fryer to get these to crisp up, and the smooth cuts that you get from a knife is not going to do you any favors in the crispiness department. They're still going to taste great though. Place them all into a bowl and add in 1/2 of a teaspoon or 2 grams of oil and shake it up to distribute. The oil is what's going to allow our seasonings to stick to these carrots. Add in 1 teaspoon or 3 grams of ranch dressing mix, 1 teaspoon or 3 grams of crushed red pepper flakes, and then 1 pinch of salt and stir it together one more time. Adding in a few grams of cornstarch at this step may help with crispiness if that's what you're going for. The ranch dressing mix comes in a packet or you can get it at Costco in a big bottle. I know some of you guys overseas might not have this. You're going to have to Google a recipe for how to make it. Dump the carrots into your air fryer basket and spread them out into a single layer. We're going to air fry these at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius for 12 to 15 minutes, shaking the basket every couple of minutes until they have browned to your liking. It's best to eat these right away, so transfer them from the basket to a plate and gobble them up. For the entire recipe, it's 126 calories. I love snacking, and having foods like these carrot chips while I'm dieting give me nutrient-dense, fiber-packed foods to keep me full and to keep me away from highly palatable store-bought snack foods. Our third and final recipe for the day is this chicken calaguin. It's meant to be eaten cold so you can pull it out of the fridge and have a high-protein snack in seconds. Take 1 4 to 5 pound or 2 kilogram whole chicken and pat it dry. Take 2 teaspoons or 10 grams of oil and drizzle it over the bird. Rub it in, make sure to get all the cracks and crevices, and cover the entire surface. Season with salt and pepper to your liking. You can even throw some seasoning down in the cavity if you wish. Now I use a whole chicken when I make this because that is how my mom and my grandma made it when I was growing up. For dieting purposes, it would be more macro-friendly to use boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and you could still do that with this recipe, but when you use the whole bird, you get a softer, tastier meat, even if it does come at the expense of a little bit more fat. Once you get it oiled and seasoned, you're going to place it breast side down on a wire-lined baking sheet and roast at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius for about 1 hour. While the chicken is roasting in the oven, you can prepare the rest of your ingredients. Take 1 medium sweet onion or 200 grams worth and cut that into a small dice. Next, you're going to take 1 bunch or 50 grams of green onions, cut the tops into a small dice, cut the whites into a small dice, and add the whites to the pile with your other onion. If you're a fan of spicy food, cut up 2 small chili peppers or 15 grams worth into a small dice. I used serrano peppers here, but if you want something a bit milder, a jalapeno would be better for you. Next, you're going to collect about 1/2 cup or 120 grams worth of fresh squeezed lemon juice. This should be about 3 lemons. Once you reach around the hour mark on your chicken cooking, you can start to keep a closer eye on it and pull it out of the oven once it is finished. If you're not sure if the chicken is done, you can throw a meat thermometer into it, and we are looking for a temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep in mind that food safety is a matter of temperature, not color, so don't be alarmed if you cut into your chicken and find some pink colored meat. This doesn't mean that it isn't cooked, and placing it back into the oven until this is gone is going to destroy and dry out your chicken. Do not do this. Get the meat thermometer. Once it hits 165, it is done. The pink hues or the blood that you see is just myoglobin. Anytime I cook and butcher a whole roasted chicken on video, I get a comment section that is full of clowns telling me that the chicken is raw. No, it's not. And I feel sorry for you people that you will never know the true luxury of a well-cooked chicken. Shame. So once that chicken has cooled, you can butcher it, take off the legs, breasts, wings, and thighs, pull all the meat away from the carcass, and then cut the meat into a small dice. I took off the skin as well, but if you wanted to leave that in, it would be even more flavor. Place all of that diced chicken into a large dish, and now we can begin to construct the calaguin. I had 2.5 pounds or 1.135 kilos of the pulled chicken, and to it I'm going to add all of my vegetables that I cut up earlier. The onions, 2 to 3 tablespoons or 30 to 45 grams of Tabasco sauce, those chopped chilies, green onions, lemon juice, and then season with salt to taste. Mix it all together until it is well combined, give it a taste test, and adjust any flavors as needed. Traditionally, a lot of people put shredded coconut in their chicken calaguin, but I don't personally do that because my mom never made it that way when I was growing up, so that's just not how I learned to do it. For a 150 gram serving, we've got 157 calories and 19.2 grams of protein. Getting shredded and losing fat is a function of your relationship to energy balance. There's no one magic food that will lead you to the promised land. Fat loss is a result of maintaining an energy deficit over a period of time. These recipes that I have showed you today have helped me in my quest for fat loss by being a low-calorie meal option in the spring rolls, a more nutrient-dense snack to keep me full in the carrot chips, and a protein-heavy snack with the calaguin to preserve lean mass. Each of these recipes will be linked in the description of this video below. You can go and find them there. That's it for this time. See you next week.